And it turns out, I guess I'm just going to be doing Age of Sigmar videos now. I think it's fun. I like talking about it. I like thinking about it. And so I'm going to be doing videos. I've been sick the past 2 weeks, as you can probably hear from my voice. So that's why you didn't get one that's why you didn't get one last week. But I think this will be something nice to do. For this week's topic, we turn to the announcement around the Warhammer Cafe. It opens June 9 to 10 here in the US. It's in Texas. Am I heading down? No. It's a great idea, but it's just a big store, and I'm not going to fly. I live in Wisconsin. I'm not going to fly to some big store. That's just like a way better version of something I have nearby. What events do you hope they run? I hope they run all the events. If they have a lot of space, that would be great. How cool would that be? They could add some super legitimacy, I guess, to some US-based stuff. What kind of an event would draw me to Texas? I suppose a big tournament. I know people in Texas. I got some old friends in the Vintage and Legacy Magic the Gathering community who live there. I've been meaning to stop by. But if you're getting on a plane, you need more than one reason to show up to something, so I don't know. If there's a big tournament there, it'll be a nice excuse to visit my friends. It's probably what I would go there for. That being said, it's a great idea. And it's a great idea. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of obvious thoughts about this, and they're all right. But my take on it is, and why I think the Warhammer Cafe is such a great idea, is if you've ever gone into a Games Workshop store, the vibe there is weird. And it's weird in a way that magnetically pushes me out of the store as soon as possible, because it's just an awkward place. You walk in, there's one 95-year-old guy painting. The person's always pushy. And it's like you want to get in and get your thing and just get out. It's weird. And if the place is also like a coffee shop, you know, or a bar or something like that, I bet if they had one in Wisconsin, they'd get a liquor license. Otherwise, they'd go out of business in 1 second. But if you got a place, if you can go into one of these places and just like, okay, you got some coffee or something like that, that's going to like create a more welcoming atmosphere just by the fact that you got something to do when you go in there. You're drinking coffee, okay, you know, it kind of keeps you in there. I think it would be cool. I think it would do something to mellow out that strange atmosphere that I've found in there. And maybe it's just ones that I've personally been to in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Chicago, Arizona, maybe everywhere else there. They're really cool. But no, I think this is a wonderful thing. It like solves it, I think. And the more new to or almost got into but then didn't the person I talk to, the more they tend to feel how I feel or felt, I guess, when I go into one of these places. I far prefer friendly local game stores over Games Workshop stores just because of the aether in the air. I don't know. So that's my thoughts on your topic of the week. What else? How about some Idoneth Deepkin stuff has been leaking, and it's been very interesting. So here we got an ability of some sort. I don't know if this is going to be on War Scrolls or if it's going to be army-wide. It's probably going to be on specific War Scrolls. But Forgotten Nightmares. The lore of it is really cool. And reading some of the stories that they posted, it really ties in with that nicely. It's just cool. It's a very cool idea. It reminds me of, who are they? The Ood from Doctor Who? No, it's not the Ood. They're scarier than that. I think they were attacking the Ood. I can't remember. I watched Doctor Who in its entirety when I had the fever for like a week and a half, so memory's gone. But anyway, it's an awesome flavor for it, And here is one of the effects of it. Missile weapons can only be used to target an Idoneth Deepkin unit with this battle trait if it is the closest visible enemy unit. So, why am I really happy that this is an ability? I'm really happy that this is an ability because this is interesting design space for them to explore, to kind of tone down the strength, relatively speaking, of shooting in this game without ruining the game completely. And because this is an ability for Idoneth Deepkin, it means that it's not going to be like an overarching rules change in GHB 18, which some people thought it was going to be. And this would have been miserable to play under if the whole game was like this. Suddenly 100 point buff heroes would just be the most powerful things in the game. They're already undercosted, and they would be warpingly undercosted if they were completely immune to targeting. This isn't like, it's not like they're gaining durability, like more wounds. It's not like they're gaining resilience, like a better save. It's not like they're gaining mitigation, like getting a ward save or something. It's just straight up immunity. That would be terrible. It would swing the pendulum so far in the other direction that the clock would break. It's just imagine Bloodsecrators that you can't target for the entire game because they're just behind other units for the whole game. You know, why do we snipe heroes? Because if you can't snipe heroes, you can't possibly win. And it's just the games would be Death Stars. It would be a ball. It'd be like a 1,000 point ball of units that have 17 buffs on them with untargetable invincible heroes like in the back line, but still a little bit bubble wrapped, just fighting another ball in the center of the table for the whole game. It would be the fact that Idoneth Deep can have this ability says to me that they're not going to change the rules like that, and that's a very wise choice. If it's one army that has this ability and that's like their thing, they can balance around it, and that's cool. I'm very happy that they have decided to show some restraint with regards to the complaints about sniping. Which is probably a little too easy to do, but it requires a soft touch. It requires a scalpel and not a hatchet. You know, something just straight up untargetability is so unfun. I mean, look at Balewind Vortex. Look at how many people complain about that, which makes someone completely immune to a melee army, or an army whose ranged isn't amazing, you know, who frankly don't have the options for that. Only a few armies have the option for excellent ranged. Balewind Vortex is another tangent, but that's neither here nor there. Add some unreliability to it. You know, you can only hit hero keyword units on a natural 5-up or something like that. You know, so something like that makes it more unreliable, but you can still try to do it. Also, some of the older army books, Iron Jaws, Beastclaw Raiders, honestly, everything in Destruction. You know, give them the tools to succeed. They're real narrow. And then the books now are seeming like they want, you know, a lot of variety. And like Nurgle comes out. Daughters of Cain come out. These are armies where they have all this great stuff they can do, but due to you only having 2,000 points in most games, you just can't fit everything you want into one list, and that's a good place to be from a book design standpoint, because then you get a variety of army lists. If you could put everything you wanted in an army list, there'd be one list. There'd be the best one, and no one else would do anything else. And so you want to give a faction, you want to give a battle tome enough options that are good so that they feel like they can't play all the things they want to. As opposed to a lot of the earlier ones, which, you know, they can do everything good that their army can do already, and it's just worse than the secondary thing other armies are doing. Tides of Death table. We get a little bit of allegiance ability. Alright, this functions based on battle round. So round 1, all units of the Tides of Death battle trait are treated as being in cover. This is cool. They're elves. They're probably not going to have the greatest saves, you know, 4 for the behemoths or the mounted people, and probably 5s or 6s for the ground troops. Flood Tide. In this battle round, all units of the Tides of Death battle trade that can, that run can still either shoot or charge, but not both. Cool, okay. So this gets you into combat faster if you wish. Although you probably don't, because High Tide is the best. This battle round, units of the Tides of Death battle trade fight before any other units in the combat phase. Fight with all eligible Idoneth Deepkin units one after the other, and then resolve any fights with any other units. And so, you know the central most powerful thing that Iron Jaws can do if they are lucky or skillful enough to set up a big combo? Well, Idoneth Deepkin can do that with their whole army on turn 3 every time. Easy. Easy game. So this is cool. Like, this kind of behooves you then to sit around and have a good save, Flood Tide to get in position and shoot, and then turn 3 set up for this massive, crash. And your opponent knows that, so he's going to be playing around that, but I think this is interesting. I think it's strong, but it's very interesting. And then Ebb Tide, you can retreat and still shoot, and then on 5 you repeat it. Which, it's... What a fun and flavorful thing this is. I think this is cool. I know it's tempting to just say, like, it's so powerful, to have this turn 3 effect, but I would really look at the War Scrolls first, and... Honestly, Allegiance abilities have been getting more interesting. Not necessarily more powerful, but definitely more interesting and more flavorful. And this is a continuation of that. What else? We saw the stats for some Namarti Thralls, which are the eyeless guys. So everyone who sucks at painting eyes, rejoice. you have something else to play now. There's a lot of armies you can play and not have to paint any eyes, right? Like Most of Death and Stormcast and stuff. But we got just a little tease. We don't get to see the whole War Scroll, but we know that 1 win each, 6 moves, 6 bravery, 5 up save, and they have 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. So they're sword masters. They're high elf sword masters so far. Supposedly they're battle line, I think, so maybe they'll get a little cheaper. Probably won't have the chopping arrows out of the sky, ability or anything like that. But these guys this is going to be great. What a fine, what a fine battle line troop this is. I wonder how much they're going to cost. They seem a little, they have elite attacks, so we'll see how many we can put on. Perhaps this will be a pretty elite army, or elite-ish. Who are the Achalians? These are the ones who actually have souls, unlike the battle line guys. These are the ones on the giant eels. The eel guys have biovoltaic barrier. Ignore the rend characteristic of attacks against this unit when making save rolls for this unit. In addition, unit has a save characteristic of 3 up instead of 4 up if it made a charge move in the same turn. How nice. That's cool. It's just good. What a good ability. This is kind of better than Ethereal. Okay, it's almost always better than Ethereal. While it's true that there are some spells and abilities that reduce the opponent's save, they are very few and far between. And Mystic Shield and Cover are pretty ubiquitous, so this is great. The 3 up instead of 4 up on a charge, it's okay. Like, on the immediate swing back, you'll pass a few more saves, and then it'll be your opponent's turn, and it goes away. So, it's not the biggest thing, but it's decent. All right, what else? There's an event at the end of this month. I'm currently painting stuff for it. I'll be doing mixed order again, but the list is a little different because, well, I've had an extra month to do stuff, so I didn't have to rush. And part of the rushing decision was to use the assassins because I had to paint 2 models and it was 200 points. So, also some thoughts on the individual units and how they worked out. The Dragon Lords were stars. Worked very well together. Keeping them both close by. Getting that excellent command ability. Aether Chemist and the Shoot Men were very good. The Longbeards were just okay. They mostly got wrecked by mortal wounds, which is their huge downside, of course. They have 1 wound each, so you throw a D3 mortal wounds at them, and they're just, you know, dwarves are dying left and right. But that's because they're kind of good at everything else. Rerolling saves is very good on them. They're going to do like 1 or 2 damage on account of having rend. I don't think any of them ever ran away. It's possible like 1 ran away when 2 were going to once, and I rolled that 5, so like they're so resistant to that. I feel like with these guys, I kind of want, I don't know, it's like I want 20, or maybe I want a Rune Lord to give him Rend 2, or a Ward save sometimes. But, you know, who knows if I can find the points for that. Tenebril Shard and Assassin are very fun. The combo worked very nicely. I think I want it to be more hilarious if I'm going to play something like this. I definitely will drop them in the future. That 4-up is just, a 4-up is just too hard to roll, I think. Or like if you don't roll a 4-up, like 200 points in your army isn't doing anything, and that's probably not okay. Furthermore, it puts me into, it obliges me to do risky lines. Like the game where I tried to roll a 4-up with them so that I wouldn't lose, and just failed every time. Like, if I didn't have the assassins in my army, I probably would have come up with like a safer, you know, better line to victory than one like contingent on having them working. And so, plus they're kind of counter to what the army is about. Remember I said in my other video that the name of the game with the army is basically consistency. So the dragons are re-rolling saves, they're re-rolling hits. The Arcanaut Company are shooting twice as much, so they hit more consistently. The Longbeards are re-rolling saves, and they have a lot of stuff against mortal wounds. The Tempesters are re-rolling 1 to save, and they're doing some mortal wounds. And then whether or not they hit, they consistently always debuff the enemy. And like, so in an army about consistency, you have like tons of coin flip man, right? And so he has a coin flipped whether or not he teleports, and then after he lands, statistically he has like a coin flip of killing a 5 or 6 up or a 6 wound hero. And so why am I, you know, if I'm breaking from the theme, it should be for a good reason, and I don't think this is a good enough reason. They fit the slot of something that can come up the flank very quickly and be a laser beam, or be a scalpel to pull out some cancer your opponent's running. you don't want the cancer. I felt like 4 Tempesters is probably a bit much. If I'm going to have 2 Dragon Lords, I kind of want everything else, at least in a mixed order list. I want some more variety. I don't like doubling up on stuff so much. I mean, I'm already on 30 Arcanauts. I'm on 2 Dragon Lords. I think I want some more. I want more of a good stuff. I want more of a grab bag, just in case. And so I like 2 Tempesters, but I think 4 is a bit much. I'm a little too elite. Arcanaut Company doesn't count as non-elite because they're not going to be capturing anything. And it's really just like a big gun with 20 extra wounds. And Skinks were the worst. They were the worst performers out of the whole tournament. They never really did anything at all. Once, because of their high move, they were able to run to an objective, and I was able to score a tertiary because of that. And so that's good. Their bolt spitter, what are those things? Whatever. Their ranged weapon, you know, I think it did 2 damage during the whole tournament, and that's about, like, that's what I would expect statistically. Ignoring Rend was good, but what it means is just you always have a 6-up save. And I think it was the moment when 5 Black Knights charged into them and just did 10 damage and captured the point. I'm like, okay, alright, I see. I see. Furthermore, 10 Skinks is 60 points, so they're the finest, cheapest battle line you can get. Very efficient points-wise. But I'm not using them at all usefully. I feel like to get the most bang for your buck out of Skinks, at least for 10 of them, is to just barely fit your 3 battle line in a 2,000 point army where you're doing something amazing. So you have all 3 of your battle line is skinks. That's 180 points. And then you have, you know, you have 1,800 points to just do something completely broken. Like you have some massive combo. Like you're a Lord Ordinator list or something like that. But for me, I'm not actually trying to like skimp on battle lines so that I can fit other stuff in. I think I want quality. I think if the theme of the army is consistency, then I want quality, and even for my battle line. And so, I feel like everything in the army should be good. And a lot of lists, that doesn't have to be the case, but I think for what I'm trying to do, it should be. And so as we move to my new list, which I'll be getting ready for Brew City Brawl at the end of the month, keeping the 2 Dragon Lords, of course. Aether Chemist has been very good. And now some of the different stuff. We took out the 200 points of Assassins. And we took out the Skinks. And we took out 1 Tempester. And we add variety and quality. So I have a Knight Heralder. This guy's great. I had 140 points to work with. He's a fine last guy for just pure utility. Because I have so much... Because I have these Arcanaut Company, people are going to want to use terrain against me. I'd like to do D3 mortal wounds to them while they are. And he has some synergy with his run and charge stuff because of the Tempesters, because of the Liberators, which we'll get to later. I guess technically himself. And just a fine little capstone guy. I went with 5 Dragon Blades. What I exactly wanted was a unit that has a decent amount of bodies, a high move, that can go and just smash like 100 points of battle line and then capture a point. And so Dragon Blades really ended up being the thing. I like them because they're cheap cavalry, 140 points for 5. 12 move, 2 wounds each, there's 10 wounds in the squad, a 4-up save, they're rerolling 1s because they're shields, 11 attacks total. They have Ancient Dignity, so if they're within 16 inches of my general or the other dragon, they're Battle Shock immune, which is excellent. They hit on 3s, wound on 3s, and are damage 2 on the charge. Furthermore, they're rerolling hits if they're within 10 because of my command ability, so they have synergy. They're synergistic. Also, they look great. Their horses are cosplaying as dragons. How cute is that? And 10 Liberators instead of Skinks, plus some other stuff. A decent, just 200 point set it and forget it anvil to sit around something. Of course they can be broken, but this is much more solid. This is much more reliable, I think. I went with Warblades instead of hammers because, you know, statistically it's the same, and I have no buffs that affect either wound rolls or hit rolls, so that doesn't matter. And there are more hit debuffs in the game than wound debuffs for the most part. Also, I like the swords. I think they look cooler. Plus, we're at 1980 instead of 2K, and so could get a cheeky triumph here and there.